What's good, everybody? This is Dev the Coolest.
And this is Ray Bang.
And this is JB.
And welcome to SlickTalk.
Hey. With the hashtag.
Welcome back,
hashtag
y'all.
SlickTalk.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yes, sir.
Wow, we're like a few episodes in now.
We are.
What do you guys think? How do you guys feel?
Feel seasoned.
Come on, chicken.
Come on, chicken.
Marinated steak.
No, but it's so dope, though. Like, who would have thought? Like, this is literally the 5th episode.
I know, it's crazy. I mean, it's not crazy. It's only 5 episodes. But
Right.
at the same time, it's like...
You feel like you've been doing it forever.
Right.
5 episodes of great content, I may
Yes.
say.
Yes.
I'm seasoned veggies, if anyone wants to.
Come on, veggies.
We've talked a lot about cultural things, but we haven't talked about living in the culture.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, outside of our episode, we talked about the criminalization of black bodies and gentrification.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we really expounded upon different components that we have to live through day by day. So I think it would be dope for us to talk about code switching because I do it all the time. I did it today at work.
Every day.
Did you do it today?
On the bus. I'm doing it now. Would y'all be down to talk about that? Can y'all talk
Absolutely.
For sure.
All right. So
Got a lot to say.
for those of you that don't know what code switching is, either because you don't have to do it because you have that privilege or just because you're just out of touch, code switching.
Come on, out of touch.
Come on, touch. Code switching by Urban Dictionary standards is to customize a style of speech to an audience or group of people being addressed. An example would be she talks straight to her friends at school, but when she's with her family, she's code switching and speaks proper English, child.
Come on, proper English.
Proper English.
He said it in the perfect voice
He
for
did.
the Urban Dictionary, I
He
must
did.
say.
Absolutely. See, that was code switching, though.
Yeah,
I
it
felt like I had to
was.
speak a little more ratchet because I was using the Urban Dictionary. Now,
Absolutely.
if I was reading from Merriam-Webster, I probably would have a little bit more
Properness.
sitting up straight.
Okay, come on.
What are you guys' experience with code switching? Like, when do you do it most? Do you code switch? Do you feel like code switching is necessary? These are a lot of questions I'm throwing you at once.
Yeah.
But pick your battle.
Look, I've always been code switching, ever since I was a kid. Because, I grew up in a very traditional household. Well, I don't want to say traditional household because what does that mean? My parents were very proper when I was growing up, and especially with, the younger kids in the house. So I wasn't allowed to, I guess, speak a certain way. I wasn't allowed, but my mom didn't promote it. So it wasn't until I got a little bit older and started, hanging around a certain age group of kids that I started picking up some things and saying it at home, and she saw a little change in me. She'll give me that eye, like, why are you talking this way,
Yeah.
Why do you feel like she would do that? Like, because there was like a little bit more comfort in knowing that you weren't carrying yourself that way? Or?
There was a big thing about image in my household. It's something that I just kind of like grew up with. So it was kind of fun doing, like more little ratchet things. Mm-hmm. So the way I would speak to my brothers or my friends is not the way my parents would hear me speak. Mm-hmm. So that was, and then it's something that you carry on all the way through work. You learn to kind of become a chameleon.
What about at school?
At school, the teachers, you speak a certain way to them. You definitely, you change the way you speak.
Yeah.
And coming from Haiti too, just going from French to Creole, it's like a form of code switching.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's 2 different languages, and it's a part of.
Well, yeah, it's just like in context, like you grew up in Catholic school,
Right?
You have to speak, proper French and stuff like that, and then you're in the yard cussing out your friends, playing soccer.
Yeah. No, seriously. For me, I don't think I necessarily growing up, I don't think I necessarily had to code switch at all, which I guess is a form of privilege, like you said earlier. But I never really thought about it. I always kind of was just the same, like throughout everything. Like I didn't grow up too, like, I guess, hood or like ratchet or anything like that. I actually grew up, I would say, pretty proper.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah,
Could have fooled me.
No, but yeah, so I grew up pretty proper. But I don't think that was like I don't know if that was like intentional. You know, the people that I surrounded myself with, I guess they tended to be more proper than everybody else that I surrounded myself with. So what does that mean? What does that mean?
Now, this is news to me. I would have never thought.
Never thought what?
Nothing.
Nothing what?
You didn't strike me as a kid who was like super proper at school.
I didn't strike you as that?
No.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, but let's distinguish that. No, let's definitely distinguish.
Let's clear some things.
Yeah. I definitely was proper, but that doesn't translate to me being good or like, you know, obedient in school. I definitely wasn't good and I definitely wasn't obedient.
Well,
but that doesn't, those definitely don't equate to being proper.
I didn't say good obedient. I'm just saying, like, I didn't see you as a kid who speak like a certain, I don't know, proper English or anything like that.
Yeah, so I definitely grew up in that type of realm where I was like that. And then I started getting older and, you know, I experienced more things and I got to see different cultures. I got to see more forms of my community. I picked up on, you know, different ways of living in our community, and I kind of like adapted to those. And
well, with that brings me to my next question, actually. So, has code switching played a part in recognizing your blackness? So I didn't really have to code switch either growing up because I was born and raised in San Francisco. That's a melting pot of different cultures. So you just come as you are and it is what it is. However, going through academia, like college and coming into corporate America, I recognized that I couldn't speak how I would speak at home, right? Like, or they'll kind of look at you and, oh, okay, well, you're like aligning with this culture that's less than, you know? So has code switching helped you at all, or has it stopped you from recognizing your blackness, or if at all?
For me, it's discovering so many parts of what it means to be black, you know? And I kind of just picked up on that as a new culture for me. So I picked up a whole lot of new language ways of speaking with people, and it helps me communicate with everyone in a way. I enjoy it. I do.
Yeah. It's like being an actor,
right?
On a different face.
I enjoy when people see me outside of like one aspect of my life. Say I have coworkers, you know, they'll see me at work, and I can be very proper with customers and stuff like that. As soon as the customer walks out the door, I'm going back to Street Ray, you know, with them, and I can fix it that way, you know.
What if they turn right back into the store? You're gonna pop right back into character,
you know? Hey, we're in corporate America.
True.
Period.
I mean, that's a question too. When you just said that, like that, I'm curious of. You said you're going back to Street Ray.
Yeah.
Like what differentiates? Yeah, like the two.
There's like proper English used for customer service and all that stuff. You know, speaking to clients and stuff like that. And then there's when you kind of get comfortable with someone. Like I've gotten comfortable with my coworkers. You can't just kind of.
I mean, I get that, but I want like different like sentences.
Oh, okay.
Words,
like, speaking Street Ray.
I'm trying to think.
What's Street Ray, man? And
no, Street Ray is like if you let's say if I have a difficult customer in front of me, and you know, just like I keep it very monotone, very this is the way we do things and stuff like that. But as soon as I get out there, I'm like, he got me fucked up. You know?
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. So
but even I was just gonna say, even still, like some people can say that is not necessarily street. You know what I'm saying? Like I think there's just basically what I was trying to get at is I feel like there's different levels to like the whole like conversational aspect. There's the levels of speaking proper, right? And then there's levels of, I guess, the extreme or the opposite of speaking proper, the speaking, you know, in ebonics or ratchet or wherever the case may be. But then there's also a middle too, where, you know, I feel like somebody can naturally speak proper, but every now and then they could be like, you know what, fuck that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
Just come out.
It's like, so I think there, would you say that there's a middle? Like, because there's, I mean, or would you say there's like, either one or the other? Is there proper, and then if you aren't proper, then you're...
I think there are two extremes.
I enjoy both. I like using both. Do I think they're extremes of each other? Not to a certain point. I guess, I mean, if you met me, you wouldn't think I'm like the most, you know... hood dude you've ever met. It's just once in a while it feels good to cuss. It feels good to not necessarily cuss, but in a certain way. Like my speech pattern is more so, I guess, Ebonics than it would be how white people cuss.
In addition to that, I think there are two extremes that meet in the middle. I'll give you an example. So I'm with a coworker that's white. I hate to say everything is white and black, but I'm with a white coworker, and they feel like they need to speak quote unquote street, and what's street to them may not be street to me.
Yeah.
Right? But me speaking proper, they could feel like, okay, well, that's not actual proper. That's not actually the proper way to speak, and they feel like they have to come up and we have to go down.
Yeah.
And that's where the middle is how you decide to speak to each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can see that.
There's definitely for the individual an extreme. Like you're either going to speak how you speak with your friends, or you're going to speak how you speak with your family and coworkers.
Yeah.
And you may speak with your family a third way, but whatever space that you're going to speak in, that other person is going to have to meet you there as well. So that's where the middle ground is.
Yeah.
I believe.
Okay. I think it definitely helped me identify my blackness because, once I stepped out of like the bubble growing up and not necessarily, like I said, recognizing all different forms that we come in as, African Americans. Once I stepped out of that bubble and started traveling, or even just went across the bay to like Oakland or San Francisco, and I started seeing how, other black people speak and everything like that, especially living in the Bay Area. We have such an eloquent way of speaking as black people is so dope.
I mean,
like,
if we go to the South,
it's like it's different. That's another layer too of like like different area codes and different states and everything like that. But so like once I went to Oakland, I'm like, oh okay, just like a little swag behind the speaking and everything, and it was attractive. And you pick up different characteristics of everything, and I guess over time I picked up different characteristics of that, and in doing that, it kind of helped me realize who I was and who I wanted to be as an African American man, and and I love every aspect of it.
There are different components of our intersectionality, right? Like, right now we're speaking on a very surface level, like, if we're speaking with family, if we're speaking with coworkers, we're speaking with each other, our friends. But what about if we're speaking with other black men that identify as hetero? Do you find yourself speaking a little bit more swaggier than you would normally, like speaking with your gay friends, or? Like I
answer that question.
I do. I definitely would answer that question. I do it all the time. Like if I'm.
Oh, do you?
I do, absolutely.
I'm being funny because I've seen you in action, child.
Listen, but
I'm like, who that?
That's a whole different person.
Loudy.
No, honestly, and the reason why I do it is for two reasons. One, although it's kind of unfortunate for me to say it, is so that the other person can feel comfortable. Because I'm not going to go to because fragile masculinity is real, and like if you're speaking to somebody that's like quote unquote straight, they don't want to hear you. They're not going to have a conversation with you being like, oh, what's the key, what's tea, blah blah blah, what's up sis, you know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna say
or
that
if they're hyper masculine. Let's say that, because there could definitely be somebody that's straight and feel comfortable with their sexuality and
that's
still
what
be
I mean.
open
What did I
to
say
it.
before? Toxic
well, I mean, you said hyper masculinity, but then you said quote unquote straight after that. But I want to specify that
I think you said
specifically. Fragile masculinity, or even hyper masculinity.
Yeah, I would speak a little bit more toward the fragile side, because to your point, if you're securing your masculinity, then you'll be okay with somebody talking like that with you in that space. But if your masculinity is a little bit on edge and you have a point to prove for whatever reason, then that's when it becomes fragile, right?
Exactly.
So I definitely have found myself doing that. Also, because I don't want them to see me as less than a man. And that's just being real. You know, like it's like I have to present myself a little bit more manly, because I'm not going to allow you to look at my sexuality as a reason why I am less than. Yes. But that's real. And I think those are the two reasons. One, because I want them to feel comfortable, and two, because I refuse to allow you to look at me as less than a man because of your fragile masculinity.
Yeah. I feel like I watch myself outside of my body communicating with these, fragile masculinity, fragile
and hypermask.
and hypermask.
Yeah, like at a barbershop or some shit.
Yeah, exactly, right? Or like even at the gym or something like that. It's like I've seen
walking and shit in the gym, but
it's crazy. No, seriously.
But it's real. It's what we live with. It's what we have to recognize.
And there's literally a process with it. It's like it goes from like deepening your voice to like, holding back on certain words that you would normally say, or not even expressing your true thoughts on an opinion that you're speaking on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll give you an example. I can meet somebody at the gym and, I'll have my headphones like blasting, and it'll be Jay-Z and Beyonce's new album. And the dude next to me is like, oh, what you bumping? I can hear that. Da, da, da. I'll be like, oh, I'm listening to that Jay-Z and Beyonce album. He's like, oh, is it good? And I have to tone it down and be like, yeah, it's all right.
Like, yes, this is my shit.
I be like, Jay-Z is cool. You know what I'm saying? I don't know about Beyonce. But I'm speaking to regular people like my friends. I'd be like, Beyonce slay that motherfucking album. Listen, every verse was everything. But I can't say that in there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I completely have done that, and I'm completely working on that, because what I understand now is that it's not my responsibility to make you comfortable.
Exactly. That's actually what I was
issue is your issue.
Your issue
That's
is your issue.
actually one thing I was going to talk about, is that I've realized when we do this is because we're not comfortable ourselves, like being our whole selves in a space with somebody that is heterosexual or somebody that's hypermasculine. For me, it's to the point where I don't even recognize that I do it. It's my day-to-day. It's like I move through my whole day speaking to different people a certain way. And sometimes, when I get comfortable with someone, I teach them a little bit about my community and things you might hear, and what that means. So if I'm having a conversation with them in the office, I'm like, okay, he's family kind of thing. Like, they'll know what I'm talking about. Like, you might not be want to crush so hard because, he family. But it's something that I want to work on myself, because I can admit that even now at 30 years old, I don't feel completely comfortable being my whole self in heteronormative spaces.
Is that kind of like, does it matter specifically who the hetero person is? Like, say for example, if does it matter if it's a random person? Does it matter if it's somebody in your family? Does it matter if it's somebody that you work with? Like, or is it the same kind of response for anybody that's hetero?
It's not. It depends on how comfortable you are with the person. Okay. Family members, I'm me, and my brothers know who I am. Coworkers know who I am. But if I'm meeting a stranger, you out, by the bus stop or by the train stop or something, you act differently, you speak differently. Or even when you take it to just being in spaces with other white folks, sometimes you speak in a way that they will understand you. And sometimes it's like, it's not how I really wanted to say certain things. So I'm working on just being my full self and not have to change myself to make somebody else comfortable.
But it sounds like the battle is already halfway done. So
come on. Scenario. You are in a barbershop, and you given what we were just talking about, you're presenting yourself as this just super masculine. You're falling into that mode, right? And you hear one of the other dudes be like, bitch, or shade, or like just throw in something from the culture, from the gay culture. How do you react to that? Like, what's your initial thought with that?
I don't know. I'm a little bit thrown because I don't think I would ever pass for hypermasculine or masculine.
Or if you were just sitting quiet somewhere, you just heard people overheard a conversation and like they said something that you would not expect them to say because they don't fall in line with.
I guess surprising, but I don't think that would be enough for me to kind of feel comfortable enough, to just think, hey, we could be cool because you threw a couple words from my community out there. I mean, it's a popular language now.
I feel like a lot, I mean, on the sidebar of that, too, I feel like a lot of females be doing that nowadays, the gay dudes.
Oh, yeah.
And they be coming around and be like, ooh, child, the
they be
tea.
code
and
switching to
da-da-da-da.
us.
I'm like, girl, you don't got to do all that because I'm so regular. But to answer your question, Devin, because I do want to answer that question because I've seen it so many times in the barbershop, actually, it's crazy, and I'm happy that I am seeing a lot of more inclusivity when it comes to people in the barbershop, which is supposed to be a masculinity, like space, like a huge, hyper masculine space. I definitely I'll do a little smirk and I'll smile at it, but I usually I don't say anything to them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I naturally don't
take notes,
say anything to anybody. I'd be like, take a note, like, ooh, sis is up here and just kicking, something like that. But, I think on the flip side, if I heard somebody that was white,
or even just not black,
of saying it, like I, to be honest with you, I'm gonna be completely honest. I kind of get turned off. I don't like the shit. I'm like,
would you
no.
speak up, or what would you do?
I definitely wouldn't speak. I mean, depending on what they say. Oh, yeah. If I would speak up or not. If they're completely minding their business and everything like that, I'm like, child, live your life. But at the same time, I do take into account, and I'm like, because I mean, it's you have to prove to me, especially if I don't know you, you have to prove to me that. Well, you don't have to, but in my thought, you have to prove to me that is authentically you, and you're not putting on a front. Yeah. And I've been proven so many times that people that act like speak in a certain language or speak like us that's not our race is just fronting because we're there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it triggers me, and it's like, are you doing this for real? And it's already bad enough that I don't know who you are, so I'm automatically pissed because you're speaking this language. You feel like you have to.
Exactly. Are you intimidated? Because of my presence, and you feel like so you can relate to me,
and it's like, don't do that.
Way.
You don't have to do that. That's
just like getting into an Uber and they turn on hip hop.
Yeah,
seriously. That's them code switching. It's like you know you be listening to some classical Mozart right now,
and I'll sure get in and be like, you could turn that shit back to pop or whatever was the fuck on, because I don't want to listen to Drake right now.
Kiki,
any other day, yes, but not right now.
Not any other day.
I think I actually misunderstood the question. The guy at the barbershop, like, let's say another black guy who starts saying shade and all that, is he somebody that's from our community or from like the heterosexual community?
The hetero community, just somebody that
then I had it right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
that on the surface level does not fit. I mean, if he's gay in the barbershop and talking like that, more power to him.
All right,
that's bold.
That's about to be. That's somebody's barbershop in Atlanta,
right?
I know that. Couple coming in talking about, hey sis, can I get cut next?
Right. Oh God.
In Atlanta, yes, they are doing that. Yep, sure. Atlanta.
That's lovely.
Go say the name one more time.
Atlanta. They are doing that. Yep.
Atlanta.
Hey, sis.
Y'all a mess.
Can I get that fade?
Okay. But yeah, I do definitely agree with what you're saying. It does make me uncomfortable when white people say certain words just so they think they're making you feel comfortable. Really, it's kind of like it didn't come out authentically. You can tell the white people that grew up around black people. We know the difference.
Oh, listen,
we know the difference.
Yeah,
but we also can tell like you feel uncomfortable and you like trying to like make it seem like you're down.
Please don't do that.
You're not.
Please do not do that.
Just stop while you're ahead.
And not even if you're white, too. If you're like Asian or if you like Hispanic or anything like that, just don't force it. It's not necessary. Just because you listen to a couple of rap albums and probably watch Love and Hip Hop, you do not have the blueprint, child. Yeah. You do not.
So do you think we'll ever get to a space where everyone can just be their full selves in every space? Like at the barbershop, can we kiki la la? At work, can we use double negatives?
We would have to dismantle all sorts of oppressions first for us to feel that way. And, for people to be really educated, it's going to take a long time.
I think we're on the path.
We're on the path, but it's going to take a long time. I mean, if you look at most barbershops, they're still very hyper-masculine areas.
But do you want that to change?
Yes.
I mean, I'm a little conflicted when it comes to that.
Really?
I feel like as long as you don't discriminate, because I mean that's like a guy's kind of. I don't want to change that culture. You know what I'm saying? Me personally, I I don't need you to be discriminatory or judgmental towards any type of community. But as far as like going into a barbershop and seeing niggas like play Madden or seeing niggas like
That's not hyper masculine.
What do you mean? It's not hyper masculine.
No, that's not the definition of hyper masculine to me.
No, if I go into a barbershop and I'm seeing niggas play Madden, drinking beer, discussing females, to me that's hyper masculinity because it doesn't give a female kind of comfort to walk a woman comfort to walk in there. You think a woman's gonna feel comfortable in a space where she walks in and she sees?
You gotta understand that a barbershop is not just a place for men. Like a woman is gonna come take her son to that barbershop.
No, absolutely.
And I don't think it's.
Or a man is supposed to drop his son off if fathers were still there, technically.
The father may have other reasons for not being there. He could have passed away.
Well,
what I'm saying is, it should be a place where other people
inclusive.
Feel,
it definitely should feel inclusive.
Exactly.
But that doesn't necessarily mean you have to take away from like the culture of the barbershop as well. That's just like a hair salon. Like, would you expect females? Like, what if you walk into a hair salon and they watching The Read? How is that supposed to make a man feel comfortable?
Masculine and hyper masculine to me probably means something completely different than it does to you.
I don't like the discrimination that goes on in those type of settings in the barbershop, but I like, that setting. I think it's.
I like the setting. I like it's a way for men to come together and like
and the beauty salon for women.
It's like a ritual for they get a chance to unload certain things that have been on their mind. Even it could be problematic as fuck, but it is at least a space for them to do it. But in certain spaces like here in Oakland, like you go towards more the hood, East Oakland and stuff like that, you can almost feel like the just atmosphere change when you walk in there, and the conversations that they have, it makes me most of the time it makes me feel uncomfortable. Like, yes, I mean, talk about sports all you want, talk about the players, talk about I don't care, but sometimes you have that one person that just jumps into this weird conversation about, dudes can be this close to each other, and it could be something as simple as heterosexual men showing affection to each other.
You can't even look your barber in the eye when that's just
right.
an unwritten code.
But I'm also thinking too.
Just show a little leg. They might like you.
I feel like people are walking on thin ice these days with just saying anything because they know that there can be an uproar of like pushback from just the community. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like people are so politically correct these days because they know that anything at any time and anywhere can offend someone. So they may nowadays I feel like they may have an opinion, but they may not say it even in those spaces unless they're for sure that everybody around them or is on the same accord, So it's like, I'm sure it still happens from time to time, but I think that I think for the most part, I'm giving people a little benefit of the doubt that I feel like people are conscious enough to say, hey, this is a little small barbershop in East Oakland, but there is like a young dude that came in here that I don't know where he's from. I've never seen him before, and this dude can very well be gay. So let's kind of keep it cute until he's not in here, and then once he's not in here, then maybe we can go back to talking about.
Don't be talking shit about me when I leave. I know that.
I don't know. It's just I just know because businesses and people get canceled out easily these days for saying wrong shit.
Their mindset is not something I don't understand. That's what pisses me off. I do understand. It's just like the unwillingness to even try to listen to somebody else's opinion. And we talk about we should let people express themselves, but to what point? Are they willing to learn somebody else's point of view? That's what pisses me off. Like, if I check you on saying some fucked up shit, don't be mad because you can't say it.
Yeah.
At least try to understand where I'm coming from because I had to hear your opinion on my life.
Clearly, as men that are in the LGBTQ community and that are black and that are men, we are passionate.
Okay.
These are just layers, what I'm saying, that we have to just present in different spaces, and this is coming from a space of lived experience. Like, we have to go into these. We're using barbershop as the example because that's like the space where we really either have to just sit and not say a thing and just sit with our legs crossed and look at them kiki.
Come on, legs crossed.
You know what I'm
My
saying?
legs
Or
be
not
gapped.
legs crossed. Come on, gapped.
In my basketball shorts. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not doing this today. I can't.
It made
Short
Jordans.
little leg for that dude that you said little kiki. But
A
like,
little
you said
smooth
what?
leg.
You said kiki?
A little smooth leg in the basketball shorts.
Nerd.
Giving it smooth.
Right, you said kiki?
You said kiki? You said sis? I know you did.
You said bitch? Oh, okay. Here's my card.
Okay.
Listen to Slick Talk.
Okay, for real. Based out of Oakland.
No, but I do think that we are progressing, and we're becoming way more tolerant of people's differences.
That's a key word.
We're becoming more tolerant of people's differences and recognizing that we're not all the same. So I do think that we are getting to a place where we can come forward and be our full selves. We also need to make sure that everybody else can feel comfortable when they come into our spaces as well, because what we haven't really talked about, we don't have much time to talk about, but like if a straight person was to come into a predominantly like gay setting, like how are they, do they code switch? Like what do they do? And then how do we react to them code switching to it? It's like, oh, well sis, what's your tea? You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
We didn't really go into that, but I think it works all around, and we just have to be tolerant and understanding of everyone's experiences and what they bring to the table.
Sidebar, I want to jump back and say fuck Madden. Okay,
Blue
we can
Petit-
continue.
oh, yeah,
Because I
you're
did
right.
use that as an example for the barbershop and dudes playing the game in there. So NBA 2K or whatever that game is.
Not
but fuck
NBA.
Madden.
Wait.
Oh, you said play NBA 2K.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like,
Blake
go
at
from Madden to
Madden.
NBA 2K.
Right.
Well, y'all, we appreciate y'all for tuning in and listening. We want y'all to talk about your experiences with code switching. Comment, hit us up, respond in the DMs, go on our Instagram, go in our comment section, like wherever. And let's have this conversation.
Let's have this conversation, and we'll rehave this conversation over again because it's a long conversation that can be had.
Yeah, and
we just touched like a little
We only touched
surface
the
of
surface
certain
of it.
things. Yeah.
And the only way that we are going to be able to combat these type of things and to be able to be comfortable and not have to code switch is to have the conversation.
Exactly.
That is happening.
Yeah.
Because
So
some people just don't recognize it. But anyway, we appreciate y'all for tuning in.
thank you
Slick
so
Talk.
much.
This is Slick Talk once
Everything.
again. And
This is Slick Talk.
we will see y'all in 2 weeks.
Peace.